Hey everybody, welcome in that new Golem tutorial about how to create and attach passengers to cars. So here I'm running Golem 7.3.4, and what I would like to do is I'm having all those car entities, and I would like to populate those cars with some more characters here, so man, woman, and I want to be able to have variation on the way those guys will be generated, and I want them to be attached. So it means that as soon as the character will move, the associated passenger will move accordingly. So let's break that scene. I've created two types of cars. There's the regular car and the taxi car. The taxi car get assigned with the taxi type, which is here, and the regular car get assigned with just the regular car type here. I also created a man type and a woman type. I made one population tool which created my cars, and I made one population tool with 0 slot to create an empty particle system in which my car will emit their passengers. And in terms of behaviors, there's nothing set up right now. I set up just on the man and the woman types. So man and woman, they're using the same behavior graph. I'm just playing a sit animation here. But there are no man or woman yet into the scene, so we can't see that motion being played right now. Great, so let's get started. The first thing I would like to do is set up the regular car. So my regular car, I'll always have a passenger, a driver. Sometimes I will have a passenger here in the left-right spot, and there's going to be just a few chances that someone will also sit in the rear. And within the taxi, I would just have like a driver here, and only people in the back. So I don't want to set any people here into that seat there. So let's see how we can achieve that. So we're gonna take into account the regular car first, and I'm gonna use the emit behavior. So the kind of the goal what we're gonna do today is from the characters from the car, we're gonna emit the passengers. And as soon as the passengers have been emitted, we're going to attach the passengers to the cars and play nice animation, and then do some behaviors on the car for them to move. So let's take a look at the emit behavior. First, it takes a shared pool size. So it means shared means that that number is shared amongst all the entities here. So I'm just having 16 entities, and this is going to be the driver emit. So I'm going to rename that driver emit. So the maximum number of characters we'll emit is actually 16. But if I add more characters, or if I wanted to generate, more characters from the same spot, I could put something more here. Then how many entities get generated maximum per run of that behavior, because it means that we can stop that behavior and restart it later. And if we do that at any run, how many characters we do emit. So we're just going to emit one. What's the rate? We don't really care because we just emit one, so they're just going to appear right away during the simulation, when the simulation starts. And now I'm going to say to which bone I would like to emit the character from. So that it's not really obvious here, but that character has a front bone. It has a center bone somewhere in the middle here. So I'm going to use that one as a base, as a starting point. So it's probably, I think it's center. Okay. And I'm going to set up some offset later. In which particle system I would like to emit my passenger. So I'm going to emit that into that empty particle system that I made earlier. And what's the type of characters I would like to emit? So as a driver, the only chances are going to be for the man or the woman shape to be the driver. And if I do that, and I play the simulation for a couple of frames, first the car, initialize themselves, and I feared that the angle would be different. But after they just emit, that's a regular car right now, and they're just emitting the driver character. The orientation is aligned on the center bone orientation, so probably the joint orient is made in such a way that now the characters get changed, but no problem here. So probably here it's gonna be 90 degrees to make them looking down, and it's probably gonna be minus 90 degree here. So it's more like, you know, some testing here. Okay, so that one's the wrong axis there. So let's put back 0 and try 90 degree here. See how they end up. As soon as I figured one, okay, and those are the same. Because it's using the Euler rotation, so I probably need to set those in the order. So it's XYZ. So let's check first that one here. So it's turning them down, so it's going to be minus 90 here and probably 90 there. Let's see. Okay, not so bad. And probably have an extra orientation that, okay, so that was minus 90 degrees. Fair enough, fair enough. And minus 90 degrees, and now we're good. Okay, and I'm just gonna offset the character slightly on its left. So once again, well, if I really wanted to do that right, I would be looking at what's the axis of the root bone of the character, rather than doing just a try like that, which is pretty okay. So it's pretty like a try and guess, so it's not really scientific approach. Okay, so that's 0.5 here and probably minus 0.2, and I'll be, well, let's pretend it's okay, right? Okay, so now I've emitted my driver on my regular cars. Those are either chains, men and women. They're playing that animation. It's not exactly the right animation here, but you get the idea. We're just looking for a set animation here. And you just have to set up your offset correctly and you're good. Now we're going to do something similar for the passenger. So we want to emit on the passenger seat. So the front passenger seat, another character. So it can be, I don't have any kid character here, but it can be a cat character as well. So it's going to be almost the same settings here. We're going to say we want to emit maximum 16 people, and the bone we're going to use is going to be center. The offset is going to be minus 90 and minus 90. Now I can rely on the other one. I'm going to rename that as well. So it's going to be pass emit, probably FR for front, FR. Front pass emit. And with my offset, yeah, it's going to be minus 2 here and 0.5. And I'm going to emit man or woman characters as well with the same chance here. And if we take a look now, I should have 2 characters being emitted. Oh, and sorry, I should specify, I forgot about that. I should specify what's the particle system I want to emit in. And okay, I set up exactly the same offset here. So that's driver emits. Okay, yeah. And so passenger emit is going to be minus 0.5. Here we go. Okay, let's see if it's better. So okay, now we're having some also some random settings for the characters, some passengers being assigned, and you can see all the regular cars now have a driver and all of them have a passenger as well at the same time. So what if we want to also be able to set some chances that maybe don't have any passengers? So what I can do is probably use a random behavior here, put it here. I'm gonna jump into that container, and now I'm saying, okay, there's a random chance that you're gonna play that behavior, but I need also to have an alternative. Alternative will be you just skip that behavior. And what are the chances that there's gonna be a passenger? It's gonna be like twice more than not having a passenger. I kind of go back here. You can't really see the length here. You really need to dig into that graph. So don't forget that there's something more complex being behind that node here. And now when you play that behaviors, you can see there's some just one car here who's not having a passenger. So maybe I can change the weights here and say, you know what, I want to have twice more, a bit more than twice more chances that you're not gonna have any passenger here, and you can see all those guys here, or that guy here doesn't have a passenger. let's move forward with that. I'm gonna skip putting some characters in the background. You kind of figured the idea, right? Where you just need to add another emit behavior here and set some random chances. Also, something which is interesting is that you can specify some minimum and maximum offsets. So let's say you don't want to specify exactly. Maybe you just want to have one character in the background, but you don't want to specify if it's on the left or on the right side of that seat. You can just put a range between -0.5 and 0.5, and you have a character being generated anywhere. Probably we're gonna do that for the taxi. So let me set up something similar for the taxi cars. So I'm gonna put an emit behavior here. Which is going to be also my driver emit, but for the taxi side. So let's call that driver emit. The pool is going to be, 16 is maximum because I'm having less taxis than I'm having regular car. The boat name, they're having the same reg here, so I'm going to put center. The offset is going to be -90. And yeah, sorry, I should, as my two behaviors has the same name. The UI broke up, so make sure to put different node names here. What I'm gonna emit is gonna be there's more chance when you're taxi driver that you're a man than a woman, so I'm just gonna improve augment that weighting system here just to show you how you can do some variation and randomize your character's generation. I'm not going to make the same error than before. I'm going to assign the right value here, and I'm going to put a -0.2 and 0.5 here, which is the driver's seat more or less. And you could probably use like a specific type for the taxi driver, because sometimes they're dressing in such a way, they're having the company maybe costumes, and you want to generate a specific type for that. So maybe you can create another type, which is going to be the taxi driver. And just assign some geometry and some assets to that, and assign that as a character of your taxi. And what I'm going to do is just make an emit behavior for the passengers in the back. So just quickly saving the scene, and here I'm going to rename that behaviors like pass. It's going to be BA for back, pass emit. Okay. And final step here is still I'm going to say this is going to be the center from which I'm going to emit that. My shared pool side is going to be 16. The particle system I'm going to emit with will be the passenger one, and I want to emit a man or a woman with maybe just a different weighting here. And my offset is going to be -0.2. I want to break that connection here, there, and I want to say that the minimum value is going to be between -0.5 and 0.5, so my characters will have a chance to pick, anywhere here on the back seat. And I want to put them slightly in the back, so I presume I need to put some 0.3 offset here, and a -90 like we did before, -90. And now I should have, within my taxes only, some passengers being generated. Oh, okay, where are they? What have I missed? Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Here are the taxis. So, okay, they're in the front. So probably here the offsets I want to specify is going to be bigger, and it's going to be positive as well. So it's a 0.5, maybe even more. Okay, even more. 0.75. 0.75, and I should be good with that, right? Okay, so yeah, that guy here is on the right seat. That guy here is on the back left one. That girl here is slightly in the middle. Up to you where you want to do this. And as I did before, I can put a random here as before, and set up my chances by doing an alternative that sometimes there's a chance that that taxi will be empty. And what you can even do is if it's empty, you can probably send an attribute behavior which will set your taxi light to some specific values, because when the taxi is empty, sometimes the light is green on top of it. So you can use that to know if your taxi is empty or not. So let's see, some empty, some taxi will be empty. That guy here is empty. That guy here, well, all of them are empty. I'm not having a lot of those. That guy here has a passenger in the back. Maybe I can just put that chance a bit lower. Okay, here we go. So this is the emit part. Let's consider that the offset are correct and the animation we're playing are correct as well. You get something which is, you know, pretty okay, pretty nice here. So now, let's say I'm going into my regular car behavior here. I emitted my characters, and afterwards I want my characters to move forward. So I'm gonna provide them with a target and a navigation behavior. Well, it's a car. I shouldn't do that with cars, but we don't really care, right? They're gonna navigate as they were humans. That's not exactly what we want. We should probably make a road system here, but just for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna keep with that one here. And I'm gonna say I want to use that target I just created. I'm gonna create also an empty terrain. So when I play the simulation, I'll have my characters. Oh, sorry. I'll have my characters emitting their passengers, and I need to specify some stopping triggers. So I'm gonna put on the driver emit. Maybe we're gonna say at frame 20. So I'm gonna set this, say at frame equals 20. I want to stop that behavior, and I want to say to that parallel operator that as soon as one behavior is ended, I want you to move to the next behavior here. So after the frame 20, now my cars, they're moving towards the zones, but if we pay attention here, all the characters which have been emitted, they're still at their same spot. So that's not exactly what we want. Oh, and by the way, they're now adapted to the ground. So this is why they're not above the car anymore. So let's also fix those. I don't want those guys to be adapted to the ground. So I'm going to go into their entity type. I'm going to go into the advanced attribute, and with all the default ground adaptation, I'm going to say it's disabled, both for the man and the woman. So now they're not adapted to the ground. They were not adapted to the ground before because I haven't had any terrain before. But now that I have a terrain, I need to take those into account properly. So okay, now my characters, they move. My car, they moves, but the passengers, they're not moving appropriately with the car. So now I need to set some behaviors on the character side, the passenger side. So the man and the woman characters, they both share the same graph here. Yep, if I double click on this or I double click on that, it just return me with that same graph. And this is what's only available from 7.3.4 is the master slave behavior. It's where it was available in previous version, but into that specific version we added something called the closest entity stick. So I'm just adding a master slave, so it means that now I'm going to be attached to some specific types in such a way. So either I can specify my own offset and attach myself to a master entity type and master bone name, but that's not exactly what I want. As my characters are already placed correctly, what I want to do is play with the closest entity. So you got multiple types. Freeze and collided means that you're going to use the physics system, and you're going to check for collisions, and as soon as there are collisions, you're going to attach that character in the state it is right now to what is being collided with. That can be really handy when you do some arrows, and those arrows hit the character, and you want, when the characters get hit, that the arrows stay planted into that character or into their gear, like a shield maybe. Here, this is not exactly what I want to do. I don't want to play with the physics system, and I don't want to compute some collisions, else it will be pretty heavy in terms of computation. What I want to do is just do a closest entity. So closest entity allows me to specify which entity I would like to test with. So I'm going to be probably the closest from a regular car or a taxi car. So I'm going to select those, press shift, and I can map those two types here. And what's the bone names I want to be I want to compute being the closest with? It's the center bone. This is where my characters have been emitted. You can put a star if you don't want to mess around with those, or you can just put some comma separated name of bones here. And as soon as I do that now, Let's see how it goes. Here we go. So now when the characters move, when the car moves, you can see the passengers are following appropriately, so their root bone transformations is assigned with the same deformations than my car systems. So this is why they're moving, but they're still playing a nice animation here. So yeah, that system here is not really convenient, right? But well, at least we can see that when the characters move, the other characters which are inside are moving accordingly as well. And we can do something similar. Well, right now the taxis are not moving, but let's say we want everybody to move. We can do something similar here. So we're gonna put just another stop trigger here and there, and we're gonna say that at frame 20 as well, we're gonna stop that behavior, and as soon as one behavior is stopped, I want to be able to play go to, which brings me to that same target than the regular cars are going, and also some navigation. Wrong behavior. It's gonna be that one here. And now even the taxi should move at the same time, and characters will follow and they'll go there. Probably we can increase just the speed a bit, so they move faster. Like a car should move maybe more like 10 times faster than this with a faster acceleration. Once again, if you wanted to use the car navigation, you will probably use those behavior instead. Here I'm kind of messing around with simple behavior, so I don't have to set anything else. But that's just me being lazy. So don't hesitate to make your own traffic system here and do your own stuff. So let's launch it for the last time here. Here we go. So hope that makes sense, and see you, I guess, into the next video.